Is it showing recording? Yes, it is. Okay. Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everybody at this seventh Old Cenarian Poetry Circle on this 9th of December. And we welcome everybody here present, and we welcome all those who might join us or see this program on the Sanar website, because we're keeping this as a record for those who might want to share and join in for this particular time or for the future. It's an example of our poetry meeting. The show goes on. It doesn't always have to be spectacular, but it's always interesting because the poems that we bring are interesting, and they're about life and about all the things that we worry about and think about. And so a meeting of 10 or so people talking about a serious subject or several subjects is always a good thing. And we are united by this background of ours of Sanar, and that makes for some fellowship and so for some warmth and for some common ground. And we're going to use all of that and start our poetry meeting for tonight. And as a kind of alap, I'm going to ask Vivek to read his first poem, to read the first poem, because it's a very nice, gentle poem, and it'll bring us into the mood. So I'm going to send by WhatsApp the first poem of the evening to put us into the mood. Give me a half a minute to get this through to you.
So,
and you
Kalpana,
should have it.
I just want to button Kalpana and Praminda, I'll add you to the WhatsApp group so that you see the poem, okay?
Okay, here it comes your way. So a little read before we talk. One thing about this WhatsApp thing is that it doesn't separate the paragraphs, so we lose a little bit of the punctuation, and we just have to imagine that. I haven't found a solution to that. I'm afraid I can't solve that. Has everybody had a read?
Bens, can I just say one thing?
Is it Chitra?
When you want to start a new paragraph, you just press enter twice and then it will start. You can separate the paragraphs by pressing enter.
Even now I could do it?
Well, if you've already started, that's fine.
Yeah.
Next time.
Okay, return twice. Okay.
Yeah.
But this return button in the WhatsApp thing is a very tricky button. It's a send button.
No,
It's
separate send and enter. Return is separate.
the return always shoots off my text. It's a very funny button.
They're next to each other, I think, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll sort it out later. Yeah.
We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
So, did everybody get a chance to catch up? It's a gentle poem.
Much needed in these days.
Yeah, very appropriate. Small line.
So is it okay? Shall I start?
Please start.
So as I just give you a little intro. So basically, as most of you know, I'm in the food business, and there we were roasting all these 20 turkeys over Thanksgiving. And I thought I'd tag a little Thanksgiving note to each of these little turkeys once they were ready. So while looking through, the Thanksgiving messages, this poem jumped out. And I thought, oh my God, this is so appropriate, besides the fact that we're going through whatever we are at this crazy time. Anyway, so the name of the poem is Small Kindness. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by. Or how strangers will still say, bless you, when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes, when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them, and for them to smile back. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange.
There was hardly any petrol in the car. It showed up. And I thought, no, I don't want to go anywhere.
Somebody's having chit-chat on the mic, please.
Please mute yourself.
I think they left the room.
It was Harbi. It is probably his wife cribbing. There's no petrol in the car. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they're the true dwelling of the holy? These fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat. Go ahead. You first. I like your hat. Thank you.
Vivek, please go back, because when we stopped, I lost track and we lost the rhythm. Actually, whole poem again would be best. Let's have the whole poem again.
I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by. Or how strangers still say, bless you, when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes, when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them, and for them to smile back. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat. No, go ahead, you first. I like your hat.
So, everyday courtesies.
Yeah, I like the last part. I like your hat because I love hats and chatting.
There are many nice moments. The big question comes, there are some people who are wonderfully pleasant, generous, they smile, and they emanate this kind of generosity. And there are others who suck your blood. You smile at them and they don't smile back, and they're grumpy, and they don't move out of the way, and you have to avoid them not to spoil your day. Now,
Sorry, Harbans, this poem doesn't want to talk about those guys.
Yeah. In fact, the
I agree.
impression I've got of America is, or was, or always has been, I haven't lived there but traveled, that they're the most friendly people in general.
Indeed.
And they like that thank you very much, kindness and smiling and so on. So it is good.
Yeah, Kumkum, come in, Kumkum, please.
As I was reading the poem for a moment, I was like, what does this mean? And then as I thought a little bit more.
Louder, Kunko. Louder, please.
Okay. As I was hearing the poem and reading it, I was like, what does this line mean? And then as I stopped and thought about it, I really liked this line, which is towards the end, which says, so far from tribe and fire. And it's like, what does it mean? And it made me think about, our hunter-gatherers, whatever we were when we sat as a tribe around a fire, roasting our food. So that's what it evoked in me, that we are innately sort of kind and generous people. And that's a very good feeling. I don't know if anyone else had the same feeling.
Yeah, I think one of the lines which is evocative is, mostly we don't want to harm each other. Captures the general theme of, politeness, courtesy, friendship, as the title says, small kindness. It's all about life is little moments of small kindness. And that's all it is. Whether it's from times of the bubonic plague, where they're saying bless you, and we picked that up, to something as simple as for the hat people, just getting a compliment on the hat. There are two hat people on this talk right now.
Well, there are two subjects here. Where do these kindnesses come from? Obviously, they come from our inner disposition of friendliness, and there's a machinery that generates that, or does not. But there is also, as somebody just said, America is a friendly country. There are some countries more friendly than others, some cultures more friendly than others. And that's another thing to reflect about. How would that be? Why would that be? Is that automatic? Has that been generated by an effort? Are there institutions which create that? Why is America more friendly than, say, Russia? I'm told Russia is a really grumpy place. I haven't been there, but
that's true. Russians are very, very friendly, warm people. I mean, forget the Western propaganda. I've been there many times. They know how to party, and they know how to be warm and good hosts. And with my last name, I was very popular when I used to go to Russia, because there was a person with my name who was very popular in Russia. So you would wonder the connection.
Raj Kapoor.
That's right. So it was fascinating, because I've lived in America for many years. So it is true Americans are friendly, but there's two levels there. One thing is courteous, one is friendly. They're two different things. So they will say, have a great weekend, and how are you, and not. You don't actually start telling them about your weekend by a 20-minute conversation. That's not what they're looking for.
No.
They just want to thank you and have a great one too. I mean, I've lived in Australia, which is also about mateship and good eye Mike, and have very friendly sort of environment. But they are, in a way, more friendly than American, because that actually goes two steps further. The Brits are a bit cold. I'm sure somebody from England is here to talk to that.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I agree.
It's the stiff upper lip, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But certainly coming back to America, I would say that capitalism plays a part, because they've been trained that if you're nice and bright and say hello when you get coffee, and so on and so forth, you get better returns.
I also believe a lot of this is cultural. Because if you look in India, if you meet a man in the street, we are really rude to them. But if you go back into families or close friends, we are the most friendly people. In America, we are very quick to say, hi, I love you, you're so great. But you ask for $1, and the friendship stops at that point. And I have lived in America for 50 years. I've spent a lot of my time, 30 years in the Northern Belt and about 20 years in the South. And there's a huge difference in culture between the two places. The Southerners are much more surface friendly than the Northerners are. So I think it's much more cultural than genuine.
I think that's right. It is cultural, and we're trying to understand why this would be. Where does this come from? It's not genetic, it's institutional, and it's historical.
I think it's insecurities, and insecurities are something sometimes more psychological than real, and they kind of manifest. So if you come from a culture where maybe children are out of the door by the time they're 18, and and then they have to fend for themselves, then life is about fending for yourself. So you'll put yourself first because you've got that kind of an experience, and then everything around it will manifest in a certain way. On the other hand, when you come from a culture where, everyone takes care of everyone, and that is a done thing, and that is something which society will even force you to enforce, then you probably will come from a place where you will not, you will open out and say, okay, someone will take care of it, so I can actually be a little more generous with what I offer. And this is not like across the board, but I feel like in a larger context, it seems to be that.
Yeah, civic sense.
I don't understand, because I think it's innate. It's innate in our. I've been reading this book about pondering a little bit about Darwinism, Charles Darwin, whatever, Darwinianism or whatever, and it is in our benefit actually to be nice to people around us in the long run.
Not really.
No.
Not really.
Well, this whole thing about social Darwinism is another debate. There's biological Darwinism in nature, but then human society has moved, once we had language and culture, so much faster that we've left behind biology, and now our behavior and our culture is not determined by instinct, it's determined by how we're taught and how we grow up and so on. But I'm afraid we have to stop on this discussion, because otherwise we'll never get through all the 9 or so poems that we have to do. But we'll thank Vivek for this gentle introduction, and he could tell us who the poet was.
So I've posted it on the WhatsApp, because it's an immigrant lady who now lives in clam chowder country, which is of course California. Danusha Lameris is the name. And if I can just quickly read 2 lines from this other very famous poetess by the name of, I think we've been introduced to her in another poem earlier, Naomi Shihabnei, who writes very beautifully. So she's written these 2 lines about this poem, and I thought I'd just quickly summate what we were talking about, that this poem feels utterly necessary for our time. It's a poem celebrating minor, automatic graciousness within a community, which can shine a penetrating light. It's a catalogue of small encouragements unfolding as might a child's palm filled with shiny stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all agree with that, and that's just what we said too. And thank you, Vivek.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Can I ask Vivek one question? When was this poem written?
This is written about 2 or 3 years back.
Okay.
She's recently published a book and been recognized mostly by this poetess. In fact, she is also, if I'm not mistaken, the poet laureate from Santa Cruz.
Uh-huh.
Lameris. Dankeschön.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm now preparing the next poem, and a couple of people are not here still, like Sujoy and Sunita. So I'm moving on, and maybe they'll join us later. And so it's your turn, Amrita. Amrita, here comes your poem.
Thank you.
Now, you say I can separate the paragraphs, but I don't think I can. There's too many, and I might make a mistake on this small screen on WhatsApp. So I'm just going to send it as it is. And Amrita, you will read out and
Yes.
create the spaces for us.
Yes, please.
So everybody have a read. Amrita, I think this is quite a difficult poem, so you'll have to read it and then take us through.
All right.
Because
I
otherwise,
think-
if otherwise we'll be very long to read it in depth, and then there won't be any time to
right.
understand it. So you'll
I'll
have
do
to yeah. So away you go. Take us through the poem. Read it out straight first, and then take us through, and then we'll discuss it.
All right. So, an ode to the window. It is interesting how the window is but half a door, looking in and looking out, opening out or shutting life outside from all the bitterness and cold. It is a grand panoramic cinema of life outside, a sunny day or the sunset's crimson tide. Within that kaleidoscope of the world, there is a barrier so you can't step out. It may create within you that moment of doubt. It is an opportunity at your door. It is a reflection and determination before you go out in the unknown and explore. The eye is the window to the soul, they say. With kindness and love, one pays to enter the world of free spirits and deep-seated secrets of humankind, a place where true hearts and spirits are by oath meant to bind. And then, when you are outside, the window is a glimpse of the world inside. You have a choice to stand and stare, and on reflection, think of going inside, not knowing what you may fare. But unless you decide, you would be swayed to and fro by a mind's tide. A beautiful adventure awaits, so be kind to yourself. You might just be surprised. So stay just a little while, sipping a cup of that tea, gazing a mile. Unwind, idle pleasures that even the gods can't deny, reflecting on this, our amazing lives, a precious find. Okay, so now I'm going to go paragraph wise and I'll read it really slow. And then I'll, at the end of it, try to bring out whatever is there. An ode to the window. It is interesting how the window is but half a door. Looking in and looking out, opening out or shutting life outside from all the bitterness and cold. It is a grand panoramic cinema of life outside, a sunny day or the sunset's crimson tide. So the reference is actually to an actual window, but you will see how it's layered as we go along. Within that kaleidoscope of the world, there is a barrier, so you can't step out. It's not like the door. The window has, you can't just move out of a window. It may create within you that moment of doubt. It is an opportunity at your door. It is a reflection and determination before you go out in the unknown and explore. So in this paragraph, what is happening is the window to the world. You discover that, and the process of how you're actually looking at life and different things within life is not just the physical thing, the physical nature, which you see outside, but also what you want to reach out for. So the nuances are slowly changing. The eye is the window to the soul, they say. Okay, so the eye is the window to the soul, they say. With kindness and love, one pays to enter the world of free spirits and deep-seated secrets of humankind, a place where true hearts and spirits are by oath meant to bind. So taking the metaphor of the window, we are talking about the eye as the windows to the soul, and what is the actual transaction which is happening within that, and how the way you look at the window and you look at the world outside, and how is it playing within a human being or within humankind. And then when you are outside, now you've shifted outside, whether outside your body or whether outside the window, you've seen the world from outside. And the window is within that house. And then when you're outside, the window is a glimpse of the world inside. You have a choice to stand and stare. And on reflection, think of going inside, not knowing what you may fare. But unless you decide, you would be swayed to and fro by your mind's tide. A beautiful adventure awaits, so be kind to yourself. You might just be surprised. So stay just a little while, sipping a cup of that tea, gazing a mile. Now you're inside. Unwind, idle pleasures that even the gods can't deny. Reflecting on this, our amazing lives, a precious find. So this poem actually works on 3 levels. One is the actual window, what it is doing to the world and what is happening and how we look at perspectives outside and how we look at perspectives within. It is a physical entity as well, but it is also about how we operate and we process things in life and how our relationships also. There is that, you look at, so when you're looking at the window and the eye, you're looking at someone, and that gaze which you have with the eye, what is happening there? It's a little bit of a journey into it and outside it, and the little things which happen around it. So this is an ode to the window.
Quickly, the eye is a window to the soul, they say. With kindness and love one pays. Just explain what you mean there with kindness, or the poem is trying to say, with kindness and love one pays to
so
enter the world.
Enter, right? You want to enter the soul through the window.
If you look into somebody's eye,
enter the world, that world which is inside, right? The only way to actually find out the deeper secrets of humankind and what is actually within every person, and every person within themselves is actually free. And what are the nuances of that? You can only find out if there is compassion and love and kindness. And that is reflected towards a person. That's the only way those things will come out from the person.
So you can only look somebody in the eye if you have kindness and love towards him.
You won't gain, and I thought it meant you won't gain entry into anyone's inner feelings unless they feel safe with you.
Exactly, yeah. That's where actually this is
from. But at the level of the gaze, I mean, that may be a general statement, but at the level of the gaze, because many a time one looks into people's eyes and one tries to read what they are made of, and you don't have to ask permission. You see them. You see their inside by looking at them if you take care to do so. They may not wish to show themselves, but the window of the soul.
So the kindness and the love and the compassion which you have is what is allowing the other to open out. It is the energy you carry. I mean, if someone was, people will not open out to everyone, right? So
sorry, Amrita, but they will not open out. It's a window. there's no curtain. You can look in to the
Yes,
soul.
you can look in. You can look in. So what I'm saying is here, what the poet is trying to say is that you can look in, but the thing is, it's a glimpse. There is a lot
Yes.
more inside which you can't see.
Ah,
And
we
you gotta
agree.
reach
We
out to
agree.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The depth, you won't share yourself. You might just, acknowledge, but
Yeah.
you won't share
You
your inner.
reach, yeah, glimpses of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
I
sort
mean,
of have to
obviously,
get it trust.
if you're an expert on reading the eye, then you can.
Are you?
No, the specialization in eye reading. People can tell by looking at the eye what you are.
But observant people do look into each other's eyes or into the other person's eyes, and you can read a lot about a person, as you can understand a lot about a person by the way he speaks, by the way he moves. These are all ways of knowing the other person, and we betray ourselves, and the windows of our eyes, they show who we are.
Yes,
But
but if you see the following paragraph after this, it says, and
Yes.
then when you are outside, the
Yeah.
window is a glimpse of the world inside. You have a choice to stand and stare, and on reflection, think of going inside, not knowing what you may fare. Now, in these two lines, the first two lines, which are talking about the window as a glimpse of the world, that means that there is something being revealed. How deep you want to go, and how much of that depth you want to take. I mean, not everything will be revealed to you. The entire house is inside. You're only seeing one part of it.
The person has to also share. The person
Exactly. For them to open that door
is another thing.
Yeah. So you have to decide to say, okay, I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to have that compassion and that love to actually take everything in, whatever comes. You can't select, right? And it's an adventure which you don't know. You're going into the unknown with any person.
And the approach will be different from person to person.
Yes.
So can I say something here?
This is all about pre-COVID days, right?
Actually, I think it's somewhere a little timeless. It's more about how human relationships and perspectives happen, and how something is in front of you and you don't really see it, and you just need to change your perspective.
And nowadays you can't come near a person, so you can't see them.
Well,
but you see the eyes. You see the eyes over the mask. The eyes are very visible because that's all we see.
Kalpana has something to say. Kalpana was wanting to say something.
Yeah. So,
Kalpana.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So,
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, Kalpana.
Thank you so much. So, what I saw just now, there are two lines: looking in and looking out.
Yes.
Right? And it says also, 1 second. It says opening out or shutting life. So it is every individual's prerogative whether they want to let people in or not let them in, even though, as you said, there are no curtains on the window. But yeah, you can always, close your eyes and just shield your innermost thoughts and not let people see. Now,
yes,
apart
it's a
from
choice.
that, yeah. Now, apart from that, the other thing which I feel out here is also addressed to people who are highly introverted. They don't really want to show their innermost thoughts. And it's kind of tantalizing because it says that unless you step out of the door, I mean, you see stuff from the window, but you are neither letting people in, nor are you letting yourself out. I mean, that's my thought on it. It's like asking introverts to come out, explore, open up. That's my thought.
Yes, I think
Lovely.
I think you're in place there. Just one more thing to add to it. It also talks of just thinking about this, and it's not forcing the person to go out, but it's saying just think about this while you're sipping your tea, while you're looking at the world. Yes, it's beautiful, but there's more you can do.
Exactly. Come on out. Come out and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, but the punchline, the last paragraph, is rather more reflective. It's saying, sit back, get yourself a cup of tea, look out of the window, and work it out.
And ponder.
Kum, bolo, kum.
I'm just wondering if it is a conversation with myself that's asking me to separate my innate mind from all these sensory inputs, looking out, looking in, and step out carefully with the sensory inputs you're getting. And when you're out, look in carefully. I'm just thinking, I'd have to spend a little bit more time reading it, but I'm just wondering if it's a conversation with myself between my
Yeah,
Atma
inner self, yes.
and the sensory
The world.
inputs that I get. It's just a
True.
thought.
Yeah.
Yes,
Furang.
Leela.
I was also getting the impression that the poet is saying, don't dither, because you've got the two options in front of you. Don't think you have to go swinging in and out and all. Sit back, relax, and ponder.
Yeah, and once you're convinced, then make your move.
Decision.
Yeah.
I
That's
loved
true.
it.
I think the key line is exactly that, which is the last line, which is a precious find, which is in the beginning they saw about looking in and looking out, options.
Yeah.
With manifold, someone looking in from outside may be actually more conscious of the outside than the inside, because of the sensory reaction he has. And someone who would be inside, seemingly sad, could actually be quite happy looking outside because it feels protected looking out. So it's a different approach to a different.
Yeah.
But the key thing is awareness, and I think that's what it talks about being a beautiful, precious find, which is be aware of your options, be aware of yourself.
Yeah. Yes, that nuance is there in the poem.
Very good. I'm going to draw us to a close because we have 3 or 4 more poems at least. And if Sujoy is here, not yet.
I have to name the poet, right?
Yes, we are. I was going to ask you.
All right. The poem was written by me today in the morning.
I was going to say it's Amrita.
Well, we suspected.
Yes.
It was that easy.
Yeah.
But
No,
look at
actually,
this.
I was thinking about a relationship I had also, and I was thinking about life, and I was thinking about how we think of things, and how we are scared of everything.
But with what speed you wrote it, huh? Yesterday it wasn't here, and today it was here.
I just go into a zone, and then I'm like in it, and then everything is about it.
Fantastic, yeah.
Excellent.
I can see just looking at her face, she's a poet.
Yes. Into your
I don't have to look at the eyes.
Oh God.
In or looking out?
Very sensitively written.
No, it's a very fine, thoughtful poem, and
it is.
And very well crafted. I mean, there's a lot of work in there. It's not just a flourish, and people think poetry just comes easily. It's a huge effort. It's a huge work to put 2 and 2 words together like that. It's a big job.
It resonates with all of us, I think.
Yes, it was a fine poem. Thank you, Amritaji. Thank you. Okay, we're getting ready now for the next poem.
Sorry, Harbans, can I just interrupt for a quick second? Can Praminda, Kalpana, and Rahul please show your faces? Put on your video. We need to take a screenshot for posterity. Praminda, Rahul.
Yeah, my camera's on.
Yeah, everybody else except Praminda and Rahul. Okay, guys. Oh, Praminda is here, and Rahul. Rahul, you're not. Your video's off.
I wonder why. I see it's on.
Wi-Fi shaky sometimes.
I think you can your own thing. Look on the.
And so for the others, Furong Yang and Kumkum, can you just sit? Can you just sit up a little bit? Are we ready?
Am I visible now?
Actually, this is Vinay's job. She normally does this. I'm just stepping in, chipping in for her. Hi, Vinay. Okay,
She's
1,
better.
2. Oops, it didn't happen.
Oops.
It didn't happen. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I don't know. Actually, Okay, 1, 2. Okay, can somebody else do?
Okay, let me try.
Although you vanished.
Come back in.
Kumkum, do you know how to do this?
I think so. Vivek, come back in. We don't see your image.
Is Spurang tall enough?
Balu, we lost.
Am I visible now?
No, I'm
Not yet.
Not visible now.
Oh, why? Some network issue, I guess. My camera's on.
Okay, we'll do it after the next one.
But you can hear us. Never
Yes,
mind, we'll
I
take the photo another time, and a little bit later. Not important. Let's keep moving on. Next poem, Kumkum. Kumkum, ready for your poem? I've already sent the photograph, which is a combination with the poem that we're going to read. So please look at your WhatsApp for the poem, for the photo, and here comes the poem. Has it arrived, Kumkum?
Yes.
Okay.
Once the photo is right, the poem has it. Okay, now got it.
Whose dog is that? Is that Vivek's dog?
I think he wants to be a poet too.
Advance.
Jeep,
Let me know.
are we all ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, away you go, Kumkum.
The days you look at has no ahead.
Voice.
A barren hope.
Closer, Kumkum. Can't hear you.
The days you look at has no ahead. A barren hope, but a hope indeed. The drifting dry bush, the dust, the sand, but the determination is hope. A few drops of rain wakes up the crop named tomorrow. So I carry an axe to cut out the stubborn, thorny, strangling weeds and let the seeds meet the next day. Hence, don't look at the grazed landscape on my face. That's the end.
One more time, please.
Okay. The days you look at has no ahead. A barren hope, but a hope indeed. The drifting dry bush, the dust, the sand, but the determination is hope. A few drops of rain wakes up the crop named tomorrow. So I carry an axe to cut out the stubborn, thorny, strangling weeds and let the seeds meet the next day. The end.
About the landscape.
Hence,
The
don't look
last
at
line.
the...
Kumkum, last line.
Oh,
The
sorry.
last two lines.
Sorry. Hence, don't look at the grazed landscape on my face. Sorry.
Mhm.
So
Those two lines are really stuck out to me, that it was probably an older person with wrinkles.
And the name of the poem, and the title is A Drought Deciduous Gaze. That's the title. A Drought Deciduous Gaze.
Deciduous meaning where the leaves fall off.
Come back. And come back.
And come back.
Or the mustache falls off and comes back.
Is that Rahul saying, giving us a gardening tip there?
So what I get from this is that there is a mindscape he's talking about, more than the physical entity outside, but it's resounding with that. But I mean, with maybe there is an actual physical drought, but what he's trying to say is he talks about hope. He talks about not judging the book by its cover. You see, so I think there is that internal conflict and struggle which he's talking about, and he's saying, I've gone through that, and I know there is hope, and I know I'm made of sterner metal. So don't go by what is happening around you. That's what I got.
And I think he takes a heavy instrument like an axe to, if there's some piece of woody root or something strangling a plant, he's going to lop it off so that the plant gets hope. That was nice. A few drops of rain wakes up the crop named tomorrow. So I carry an axe to cut out the stubborn, thorny, strangling weeds and let the seeds meet the next day. So he's facilitating the rebirth that he believes in.
And almost like a conviction that this is going to happen.
Yes.
It's like hope. He seems to be addressing hope. So all those terms used there, the drought, that is hopelessness, and deciduous. Now, deciduous is, annually shedding its leaves. So it looks barren, no hope. But then hope revives with a few drops of rain. So I feel it's a farmer who is probably passing through a phase of hopelessness, but doesn't, as they say, hope springs eternal in the human breast. He's not really giving it up. And that axe is probably a metaphor for his determination not to give in. Something like that. I feel so he's talking as a don't go by my surface. I look as if I'm hopeless, but no, I have hope. I have hope that there will be a better tomorrow. I mean,
never give in.
Never give in. Absolutely.
He's a scenario of heart.
Actually, when you think of this poem contextually with what's happening in and around Delhi these days, and you see the faces of the farmers, some of them so agitated, some very aged with all these furrows and lines on their face. I think it's quite amazing how this resonates with what's happening here right now.
Well, I think it was chosen for that reason, wasn't it, Kumkum? So say a few words now, Kumkum, to draw the whole thing together.
Well, I always choose, I look through a fair number of books recommended by you guys, authors, and I stop at a poem that's short and that makes me stop, because I read a lot of poems because of the books that I've ordered, and they don't make too much sense to me. I've come to poetry just 5 or 6 months ago. So when I read this, it just, it resonated that there's hope within all of us, and we need to try and get to it on despondent days and days which are not going too well, to remember that there is a way out, and it's your mind, and to carry the strong axe to get these negative thoughts out of you and allow the positivity to come out, and which is hard on some days. Your face looks barren, you're angry, you're upset, you're sad, but to remember that there's hope within, and to allow it with a little bit of perhaps rainwater for the seeds of that hope to flourish. So it was, I enjoyed it, and I had 2 or 3 poems that I was going to sort of my finalists. And then when I've been reading about these farmers in Delhi, I go, why not, present this, that I can hear from you guys.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll send a telegram to the farmers of Delhi saying we read a poem in their memory.
And
Who's the poet?
Author?
Yeah, so the author is Yogesh Patel, and I ordered the book by Reshma Ruya that you had mentioned, Harbans, and I was looking for poems, and actually one of her poems resonated with me. And then she had mentioned, at the end of the book, there was a sort of a little mention about this Word Masala Award winners. So I ordered this book. It's by, no, actually there was a mention of Yogesh Patel. So I looked him up, and then there was a book that was edited by him. And it seems like there's a group of Indians who call themselves the World Masala Poets or something. And then it's a not-for-profit project, and they print poems from poets of Indian descent. And so I ordered this book, and then I read it. And Yogesh is the editor, and he had one of his own poems there. And it was short, and it made me stop and think. So a long answer for a short question. Thank you.
Okay. I see Sunita was here. Good evening to you, Sunita.
I'm sorry, I'm growing senile. I just forgot. I remembered poetry meeting, and then I forgot. And then I get sneaky. I couldn't remember, oh God, how do I make the link? And I'm sending messages, where's the link? Anyway, sorry.
You made it just in time because it's your turn to go. You sent a fine poem, and you have to read it because
I thought you were going to read all the poems.
No.
I've got it on my computer. All right, I'll read it.
No, we send it out to everybody, and then you read it. Just wait a tiny second, and then you'll be able to read it to everybody.
Have you sent it to me? You sent it to me also? Good, then I can see it on my phone and read it.
Yes, if you're on the list. Kumkum, is she on the list?
OS Poetry Circle, yeah. On my, I just have to move out of the screen and go into that.
He hasn't sent it as yet. He'll send it.
It's coming. Now you should have received it now.
Yes, it has come. Okay. All right.
Give us 2 minutes to read it now first, Sunita.
All right. You
2 minutes just.
Then I should read.
Yeah. Where are you speaking from, Sunita?
I'm in Pune.
Okay.
Last time, I think I was in Delhi.
But you're not based in America?
No, I'm not. I have 2 children who are based in America, so I keep coming and going. Yeah.
Because this is an American poem, so, but we're all allowed to say any kind of poem, read any kind of poem.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's, if you've read it, then with your own reading of it, we'll get the rest of it. So away we go.
All right.
Sunita.
All right. So here I go. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life?
You'll have to get it in your phone.
Sorry, stop, Sunita. There's a lot of interference. Harbir is talking on the phone. Okay, start again. Thank you. Sorry, Sunita, please start again. Yeah.
Won't you celebrate with me? That's okay. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up, here on this bridge between starshine and clay. my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Short and sweet.
Great poem. Please, one more time. One more time.
Okay. I don't know how you're supposed to read poetry, but anyway, read it out. Okay.
Just read.
Celebrate with me? Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman, what did I see to be except myself? I made it up. Here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed.
Well.
Babylon or Babylon? Babylon, I think.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
What's in a name?
I know.
What's in a pronunciation?
That's true.
It just sounded a bit weird.
No, let me say a few words about this poem, which I had the chance to read. There are many good things in this poem. It's a first-person poem which gets the pitch right. When you read a first-person poem, it's so important that the speaking voice does not boast, does not self-pity, does not ask anything of the reader, does not preach. It's very risky to write a first-person poem. And this poem gets it really right because it's modest and yet it's about an achievement with which you can wholeheartedly agree that life is tough, that she was between starlight and clay, between hopes and this horrible earth, and she found her way, although everybody was against her, trying to knock her down. So this is really a very fine piece of writing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's my take on it. Anybody else? Kumkum? Kumkum?
Yes, I was muted. I really like this poem, and it just talked about the innate hope that we all have and innate powers. But there was one line that you mentioned. It sort of made me ponder between sunshine, starshine, and clay. And you interpreted clay as that horrible earth. I interpreted it as, death that just relieves. It's a normal part of life. It's not
As what? Clay as
death. It's just a normal part of life. It's not
as death.
But starshine, I was just wondering on what the author meant by starshine. Is it my birth, or I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I like the poem very much. Very helpful.
I have a very good idea what it means, but I'll let Sunita reply.
Can I say something?
Oh, Amrita.
Yes. So I see a little sense of, sadness also, and a gentleness of the soul, whoever is talking, the narrator. But for me, when I look at it, starshine and clay is basically, being malleable and having the magic within to, even with everything going south, you kind of are working with it. And you're just, even though things are not working your way, you're willing yourself to say, hey, I'm trying to do this. I don't know. I get
Amrita, textually, you're not on the ball there. This is, the line is, I'm on the bridge between starshine and clay.
So what I'm saying is she's not able to manage it. She's basically, I don't know why I'm saying she, but it feels like a she.
No, it's a woman. It's a woman.
Yeah.
Both non-white and woman.
Non-white and woman.
So the thing is that when you fail at something, you're still wanting to do those things. You're still in that zone where you're looking at, you try to reach out, and it's not quite within your reach. That magic, that malleability with which you could, and you want to transform. So that's what I thought. Maybe I'm completely off the grid on that, but
I went off on a complete tangent, maybe because I live here. I felt it's a woman that's made it to the United States, and she's both non-white, and there's all this hoo-ha about colored people, and a woman. And I think that she feels that she's managed here, even though she came from a country far away. And though people have tried to get rid of her, which happens often to colored people, they've failed. So I had my own tangent, probably because it's buzzing around so much at the moment.
It's certainly about America. It's certainly about America. But Sanjeev, come in, Sanjeev.
I think following up on that, basically, she's from Iraq. Babylon is in Iraq.
Yes, yes.
And she's an Iraqi woman, and Iraq and America have been intertwined for all the wrong reasons for a few decades now. So it shows her resolve, and what she's looking for is people to join her and sort of support her emotionally with a celebration. And I think that it's looking for a release. Having done so much, she wants a celebration, but she doesn't want to celebrate alone. She wants to celebrate with people. And I think this sense of community, she comes from Iraq. Iraq is a communal sort of place. Women tend to like communities, and non-whites tend to not be solitary people. So these are all stereotypical definitions, but they're generally true.
But why do you say, sorry to interrupt, Sanjeev, because your whole interpretation is that this Babylon is in Iraq, but there's a Babylon in America. And this sounds to me to be like a Black American woman talking about racism in America.
So we have a difference of opinion. I look at it as she's an Iraqi woman who's come to America, and non-white, because Arabs are not white. And so that's how I see it.
And I saw the clay as Mesopotamia and the civilization of Sumeria. I don't know why I'm going off at these tangents. There was a lot of clay and a lot of figurines there. And so
okay, a lot of people wanting to talk. Raj, you're flapping away. Go on, Raj.
Now, okay, I basically stick to a pretty narrow interpretation. So to me, what it means is non-white and clay. So clay is the woman, and non-white is not being white. That's about plain and simple. My mind kind of works in that. And it uses the device of reiterating what was said earlier, non-white and clay.
But she's on the bridge between light shine and clay.
Starshine.
No,
starshine and clay. That's to do with what is starshine?
The American flag
is the glow. Starshine is the glow that the non-whiteness gives her.
No.
Can I say something here?
Kalpana.
This poetry, you can interpret it any way you like.
Yes or no?
No, it's not going to help.
Well, no. Okay, sorry. Zafar, who was, I heard Zafar raising his hand. Did you want to come in, Zafar? Your mic is not on.
I wanted to come in.
Oh, Kalpana, wait just one moment. I think if Zafar is coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, I view, starshine and clay as being the opposite of Ethiopia and hell. So she's on the bridge between the two, going back and forth. And sometimes she's more in this direction, and other times she's more in that direction. That's my interpretation.
What were the two poles? Ethiopia?
Where are we going?
The best of the best, not Ethiopia.
Utopia. Oh, Utopia.
Utopia, right? The best of the best, and reality or very difficult situation. Maybe maybe what she experienced. And
yeah,
typically we all go through that. We all go through that cycle of being in the highest of high and the lowest of low.
Correct. It's to do with starshine, meaning looking at the night sky, the stars, aiming for the highest, dreaming the American dream or dreaming to achieve, and clay down below, the earth, the ground, and being downtrodden. So between the bridge between the earth and being put down and my hopes in the stars, on this bridge, my two hands meet and I try to fight on, and I've managed to survive up to today. Please join me for my little achievement. I think this is an entirely internal poem. It's not to do with immigration or that kind of
Please
thing.
God.
Yeah, I don't think it's to do with that.
Harbans, I'd like to say something here.
Kalpana, please, sorry, I know you've been wanting to come.
No, so I look at it totally as a woman's poem, in the sense of the starshine are the dreams that she wants to achieve,
Correct.
that are going around in her head. And clay, I interpret in two ways. One is the practical realities which ground her, pull her down, and prevent her from achieving her dreams. Because, if you have your feet, the other mean for anyway. So if you get into clay, clay just sucks you in. So it's like the practical realities which just hold you there and make it much more difficult for you to achieve your dreams. The other meaning of clay, which I took, was like feet of clay, the human weaknesses, the stuff which she might want to achieve something, but well, vices is too strong a word, but well, the very human weaknesses which ground us, pull us back. So, and then in the Indian context, I look at the non-white and the woman part. Really, I mean, it's not an Indian poem, but I could look at it like that, because in India, color is very important, as is being a woman. Both things make it so much more difficult to achieve your dreams. So that was my take on it.
Thank you, Kalpana.
So since I guess since we're debating so much on this starlight and clay, starshine and clay, I actually am looking at that particular that phrase as really like it's a phenomenon of where you're born from. I mean, either you could be born, as they say, from stardust, or you could be born from the earth, as many, and you'll be returned back to the earth, as many civilizations think. Anyway, that was my interpretation. And I just want to add a little, at first read what you said, Harbans, that it's a very self-directed, written as a self-poem, and it looks very gentle. It sounds very gentle and nice. But when I just sort of reread it a couple of times, and the last two lines for me are almost like the driving point of when you're talking about celebrating all this, that the fact that I've been saved and like nobody managed to kill me, it almost sounds very sarcastic. I mean, there's a sarcastic element to the word celebrate. It isn't as if like, come, let's have a joyous time. It's like, do you really want to celebrate with me for all that's happened to me? This is what on second or third read, this is what's coming through to me.
But then why something has tried to kill me and has failed? That's a pretty definitive thing to say. It's not double-edged. You're not going to say, I'm glad they killed me. I mean, I'm lucky that I survived.
You won't be able to say, I'm glad they killed me.
You can't say that, exactly. So you won't be there. But it's...
it's like as if somebody repeatedly has been trying to do all sorts of things to you to get you down, to knock you off the face of the earth. And, and today you're glad that you've survived it all. So that it's like almost like mocking the world and saying, you want to come celebrate with me? Come, I'll show you how.
Okay, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
That's a way of thinking.
Another way of saying that would be, do you really want to come and celebrate with me in this tough life that I've had? Okay. We're coming to the end. Sunita, you've not said anything about your lovely poem. Please tell us.
You're muted. Sunita,
Next time I'm going
yeah.
to send a poem which I thought I would send instead, which is about interpretation of a poem. It was very cute, but then I said I'll send this. Next time I'll send that. Secondly, when I read this poem, actually, I kind of identified with it in the sense that I've had quite an up and down life, and many times felt that God, I'm so down, or non-white woman. It doesn't mean non-white and woman, but just different. Not in the routine way of life. My life has been really not a conventional. I mean, this is my looking at my own. And I have had to actually think myself, how do I want to be? What do I want to do? And then when he says one hand holding tight, the other hand, it's like on my own, I've had to make my own life. And, lots of ups and downs. And I'm in a good place. So when it says, come celebrate with me, that every day something has tried to kill me, it has felt like something has tried to kill me. I felt like I'm dying, and has failed, and I'm still alive. So it's celebrating that I'm alive and joyful and happy. And that's how I looked at it. I got that spark out of it. So it resonated with me. And incidentally, there was a little, analysis of the poem also given along with it. But I refused to read it and remember it. I said, I don't want to, read it like that. Still, I remember a bit. So like you guys were going on about the starshine and clay. So starshine was spirituality according to that interpretation, and clay is the earth. So it's between the two. So they gave a long kind of, analysis. But this is how I felt it. And I had no model, because there was no model for me personally. There was nothing. So I just I was on my own. What do I do here, there? And there was nobody to guide me, help me, no model for me to model myself upon. And so it's just very much come celebrate with me that, and has failed, and I'm still going strong. So that's what.
Well done, Sunita. Thank you for a lovely poem. And we're now, the author.
Who is the poet?
Oh, it's Lucille Clifton. Lucille Clifton.
Okay. Send the name in the WhatsApp. Send us the name in the WhatsApp so that we can look her up.
Can I say one thing? I know
Please.
Sunita, she was 1 year senior to me. And as she said, it represented her life. She has just been a trailblazer in everything she's done. And I clap to your life, Sunita. Thank you.
You don't know what she's done. Please tell us what she's done, Kumkum.
I want to know.
Oh, that's not the thing. It's not a sort of a self-pitying thing or something victimhood or something. And I don't know how it would look in outside terms, but like you said, it's more of an internal thing, just dealing with everything.
Okay. You're modest to the end, Sunita. Very nice. Next poem coming up. We've got a few more minutes within our time so that at least the poems will be done before people are given time to go away. Is Sujoy here? I saw Sujoy a little while ago.
No.
No.
Is he here now? It's coming. Your poem too. Your poem too. Coming, Raj.
Yeah. Every time I got to remind you, Harbans, what's the matter?
What's the?
Why am I being discriminated against?
No, sir. Here comes your poem. Here comes your poem.
Sanjeev sent a poem too, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, but Sanjeev is modest and calm and doesn't make a noise. Okay, so this is from Raj. I'll just write. See, it's gone. I was trying to write your name, but it went off. It's gone to you.
Tell me when.
It's a short poem. Has everybody had a good look?
Yeah.
Okay, away you go, Raj. Read through.
Verse on command. Where shall I find it? My train slowly wends its way from one life to another. 40 years left behind. Ulysses leaving an aged wife, forward to a son and family. Perhaps much remains, there is hope. Meanwhile, we pass water, boats, look into other people's homes.
Just a textual clarification. So is this, meanwhile we pass water boats or water, comma, boats, comma, look into other people? We pass water, comma. Okay.
Comma.
Okay.
Oh.
One more time, please.
Verse on command. Where shall I find it? My train slowly wends its way from one life to another. 40 years left behind. Ulysses leaving an aged wife, forward to a son and family. Perhaps much remains. There is hope. Meanwhile, we pass water, boats, look into other people's homes.
Splendid. Who would like to go first to comment?
It seems like these are seafarers who are talking of the situation they're seeing, and they're kind of reflecting and kind of, looking at how they've left people home somewhere.
Huh? What did you say? How did?
How they left their own folks home and they are at sea. And it seems like they're sailors at sea, looking at the world pass by while they're in their boats, and they're thinking about their families and their homes, etc., etc.
Chitra, you have not spoken much at all this evening. Please come in.
Yes. Actually, I'm Rajan's batchmate, and
Yeah.
I know about the background. And like the earlier poem which he presented in the last session, this is a very personal, that's my take on it. This is a very personal narration of his experience at this point of his life. And of course, Rajan will later speak, but that's my view on it.
That's exactly what I thought, Chitra.
Well, we are now able to say that, but we should not be able to say that, or put it another way. A poem should not just be autobiographical, it should say something on its own, and we don't need to know the person's life or his person to enjoy or interpret or get things out of the poem. So let's read it as a poem, not knowing whose personal life it pertains to. It is saying something, and let's take it at that value.
Can I add one thing?
You're quite right. I only said that because Amrita was on the other track, thinking it was seafarer. I just wanted to. That was my take. Yeah.
Okay, it is a personal poem, that's for sure. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thing?
Yes, Leela.
Just one quick and short and sweet. Ulysses pushes me off onto another track because he left off for the war, leaving Penelope behind. So I went into a practical illusion.
Let me, can I answer to that right away?
All right, please do.
Because for the English teacher, see, this is a poem that is from Tennyson. See, Tennyson's Ulysses.
Yes.
Where, though we, basically says, though we are not what we used to be, much is taken, but much remains.
Yes.
Okay. It's a reference to Tennyson's Ulysses poem and a textual line in there, not the Greek myth of Ulysses.
Okay.
So that clarifies things a little bit, because the storyline of the poem is, and I mean, it's a straightforward poem. My train slowly is moving on from one life to another, 40 years left behind, leaving behind an aged wife, but forward to a son and family. So a new family, Perhaps much remains, there is hope, and on the way there's water and boats and looking into other people's homes. So this is a man setting off on a new journey, leaving his wife behind and hoping for better times ahead. It's a poem about a life situation like that, and it gives us, in a very short space, a feel of this new adventure. That's what the poem is. What else can we get out of it?
It seems
I
to
was
be a
just,
poem of
sorry.
grief.
Kalpana?
To me, it conveys grief. If you see, it's like passengers on a train and people keep getting off it. That's an analogy for, well, dying, people getting off your train. So my train winds its way, leaving 40 years behind, leaving an aged wife. They just seem to be metaphors, and they all seem to be like a transition from one life to another. So, moving on from this earthly life forward to a son. So the wife is left in the care of the son. To me, it seems to convey the thoughts of a person who, well, has passed from the world. It's, of course, it's totally in the mind, but that's what it conveys to me, that it's somebody who's leaving everything behind, moving on. Ulysses, well, let's forget about Ulysses. I mean, that was only probably a poetic license given.
But he does say there is hope. So it isn't as if he has
Yeah,
given up.
so he says much remains, right? Let me just have a
That's
look
from
at
the
it.
poem.
There is hope, perhaps much remains. So even though it's a major loss, well, losing the head of the family or husband, much remains. The living forward to the son, etc. The son is there to carry on the legacy. Life carries on. It never gets over. That's how I viewed it when I saw it.
Vivek?
And yeah, and I was trying to make some head with the poem's title, verse on command. I mean, I understand while I have understood the poem, I couldn't make the connection between the title and the rest of the poem.
I think we'll get an explanation a little bit later from the person who presented it. But something that Kalpana said, or that's in the poem, Ulysses leaving an aged wife behind, full stop, forward to a son and family, meaning that the son is in the future and a new family is in the future and the wife is left behind. It doesn't seem to be that he has left his wife with his son.
No.
I just want to say.
Sunita, bolo.
I don't know what all the words mean specifically, but the feeling I get from it is something like trying to get in touch with oneself inside and not feeling in touch, as like being outside of one's own self, and kind of a longing to be in touch with oneself. There's a kind of a longingness, I feel that, looking into other people's homes or passing by. Where should I find it? Looking for something, looking for connection with myself. That's what it said to me.
Yes, I think your point is quite true, that it's not a real train, it's a mental train that he's getting ready to take in a new journey.
He's going here and there. I mean, not logically, but just that I'm here, I'm there, I'm going from person to person or life to life. I don't know what the aged wife and son and family there.
No. It's not a confusion. It's not it's not confused, Sunita.
No, I
this
mean,
is a very
confused, but I don't know. I've read what little poetry I've read. I've seen that it will take something from another poem or another author, and they'll put it there, and you're expected to know that.
Yeah, we shouldn't have that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know that, so let me just not go crazy trying to figure it. I just take
Quite
the feeling sense out of it,
And just
Fine.
a little bit of humor on the side. So when I read it, and towards the end it says to pass water, and then the next word, the next line is boats, capital written in capitals. I also thought it should be water-boats. I pass water means something quite different to me.
Yeah.
One is meant to be water boats, actually.
Even I thought it
No.
would be
Water
water
boats.
boats.
No, it's
Okay,
not
it's
water
not-
boats.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just
The
water.
motor boats,
We
but not water
clarified.
boats.
It's like
I
water
know, but
body.
still, I think it sounds, I don't know. It could,
It's like
maybe
from the
needs to be
windows
checked
of the
again.
train. You see these little lakes and these water bodies as you pass by. I guess it was something like that.
Okay, we
But
pass water, we pass boats like that. Okay.
And then
That's
I
correct.
Look into
heard
other
anything-
people's homes.
people
We
passed
haven't heard
and
anything from Praminda.
Okay, in
Where's
the train,
Praminda?
the train is still going on. Okay. And we're passing water, we're passing boats, we're looking into people's homes. So again, it's looking into, trying to look into, trying to get into myself because I'm so outside myself. I'm so disconnected.
Yes.
Okay. Praminda, welcome back. But have you got something to add to this poem? Because we're soon going to stop. We only have one more poem, and you've not said anything.
Two journeys, the train journey and the boat journey. So it's definitely a poem that's traveled. And it's a middle-aged poem. I think we're all there. We've got half our lives behind, more than half our lives behind us, and an absolutely new reality ahead of us. Yeah. And it's maybe not a very comfortable poem, but it's a very real poem.
Okay. Now, Raj, come and take. Oh, Zafar. Sorry, please come in, Zafar.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
my
I
classmates
think
are
it's a very, I have a lot of background to this, but I'll share my poetic perspective. I think it's a very powerful poem with regard to life. You know, there's been a change. After 40 years of a comfortable lifestyle, the author is going through a significant change into the horizons where the future is uncertain, but hopeful.
Yes.
From 40 years. Yeah, that's
40 years. And the journey is metaphoric as well as it's real. As well as it's real. And I'm sure he reflected on this as he was going through the process to come up with this thing. I found it very powerful.
Thank you, Jafar. Okay, so
yes,
should I
Raj.
go ahead and explain?
Please sum up.
It said verse on command. The title came from the fact that, okay, let's take the situation first. So I was on this train from San Jose to Seattle, and I was looking through my email, and I had left my wife behind. We were divorced, so I was traveling to settle down in Seattle, and I'm right now in Seattle to be by my son and his family. Okay, so I had submitted a poem earlier to Harbans, and he wrote back in the email saying that it was too long. So while I'm sitting on the train, I thought of it, and I said, okay, so here's verse on command. So that's the name of the poem. Okay, now
So Harbans is command.
That's the
title.
Title. Now, and then the question comes up: where shall I find it on short notice? Where is it going to come from? Okay, and my train slowly wends its way from one life to another. Even though I'm just going from the Bay Area to Seattle, I spent 40 years in the Bay Area, nearly 40 years. Okay, so it goes from one life to another. And I'm an old man, I'm 71, and I don't know how much time is left. And then I remember I'm a fan of Tennyson. Okay, I really love his poetry, basically because it rhymes so well and it deals with very noble. Noble.
Sentiments.
Not in this case, maybe not, but in Ulysses, pretty much that's what he says. He says that though I am ruling a race that know not me. So my son Telemachus can do it as well. So he says, I will leave behind an aged wife, get on with my rowers, and though we are past our prime, much still remains. Okay. Meanwhile, as we go along on the train, and remember, this is Oregon and Seattle, and we are all these bodies of water. I love water. So there's a lot of water, and there are boats on the water, and and you pass houses and you look into the homes. That's about it.
Yes. Well, we got all that, but it's pertinent as a general poem, not just your own personal experience. It speaks as a poem. It is successful as a poem because it treats the subject of a man leaving his wife of 40 years behind, moving on to a new life. And that's where the poem is touching. But we'll stop here because we have one last poem, and then, or even now, if anybody wants to leave, they can. We've had 1.5 hours, and there's only one more poem, which is Sanjeev's poem. If you want to stay for that, please stay. But those who need to go or wish to go, especially people in India for whom it's late, I would understand. And we have this rule that we let people leave in good grace at this kind of time, after 1.5 hours. But I recommend that we all stay for a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
And stay and hear and listen to the next poem, which I've just sent you from Sanjeev Kapoor.
I'm so sorry I need to leave. So it was great attending this. Nice meeting everyone. Hope to see you guys again. Good night.
Lovely. Thank you for coming,
Bye-bye.
Kalpana. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Kumkum. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Kalpana.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, read our poem. Read the poem.
Happy is England. Happy is England. I could be content to see no other weather than its own, to feel no other breezes than are blown. Through its tall woods with high romances blend, yet do I feel sometimes a languishment for skies Italian and an inward groan, to sit upon an Alp as a throne, and half forget what world or worldling meant. Happy is England, sweet her artless daughters, enough their simple loveliness for me, enough their whitest arms in silence clinging. Yet do I often warmly burn to see beauties of deeper glance, and hear their singing, and float with them about the summer waters.
I'm glad there are no English women around here, but we'll hear this poem one more time, please, Sanjeev.
Sure. Happy is England. I could be content to see no other weather than its own, to feel no other breezes than are blown. Through its tall woods with high romances blend, yet do I feel sometimes a languishment for skies Italian and an inward groan, to sit upon an Alp as a throne, and half forget what world or worldling meant. Happy is England, sweet her artless daughters, enough their simple loveliness for me, enough their whitest arms in silence clinging. Yet do I often warmly burn to see beauties of deeper glance, and hear their singing, and float with them about the summer waters.
Okay. But do we agree that this is a little bit of a put down on poor, sweet England, and especially English girls, artless English girls?
There seems to be a superiority complex within the poem for a certain lot.
About Italian beauties.
Or they could be just, they're quite content. They're quite content with England as it is. And they're quite happy.
This one is definitely going to get people into diplomatic trouble.
Yeah. Especially when it's Brexit time, is it? But
I think this is, it's by a remaining Remainer who wants to stay in Europe. But I think this is of times when it was the fashion to go to Italy and to go to Greece and to fight for the independence of Greece. And there was a movement of poets when they would be doing things like that, and they loved everything Italian and classical. But let's have this poem again one more time, or anybody wants to talk about it?
Lord Byron.
Those kind of people. I don't know who wrote it.
Yeah.
We don't know who wrote it yet. We'll come to the poet's name in a minute.
I think it's the man Sanjeev himself. It sounds, I'm reading between the lines and I sort of see it as a first person.
Oh my God. Leela, I think that's too
politically
risky.
Incorrect?
Well, we're not allowed to impute that right away. We have to first analyze the poem, and then we can think about who wrote it. But
it's a sort of a depth of understanding and description of the countryside and things that makes me feel it's someone who really is under the skin.
Of England, what? Somebody who loves England, who knows England.
Who knows England and also loves other places.
Aha. Yes, it's certainly a poem about opening up, being not provincial, looking outwards and not being closed in your own little place. It's a poem, it's a cosmopolitan poem. It's a poem about being...
And one more disagreement and then I'll be quiet. I feel that he's not against English girls. He says, sweet her artless daughters, enough their simple loveliness for me. So he still loves them even though they're artless.
Yeah, that's quite a put down though, isn't it?
It may not be good enough for other people, it's good enough for me. Kind of.
There's a sort of innocence, I think, when he says artless. I think it means how deep you go into that word. I think he means they're simple and not conniving.
No, and the other context is the Italian context, right? The Italian grandiose kind of thing of looking at art and culture. And here you have the simple, frank, right there.
And the countryside, nature, not buildings.
And the whitest arms in silence clinging, not singing.
Sophia Loren.
I think
Italian
he really
girls are
loves
singing.
it. He loves the English, I feel.
And these are whitest arms in silence clinging. Clinging.
Yes, so they're not artless, probably, in a wrong way.
No, but let's face it, while growing up, let's say in Sanaa, we had these lofty notions about England, and we weren't smart enough to know what the British ended up doing to us, but we did realize, or we were made to think that English poetry is the best and English countryside is wow and everything English is great. So it's a little nice to know that there are the English also who might be wanting to go to Italy and see Indian skies.
But the countryside is beautiful.
No, I'm just, I'm
I
just
know
thinking of
what you
people
mean.
like Miss Chatterjee and all that.
I was just going to say.
Oh my God, England and, the English language and everything, the way that all of us have gone through it, right?
All of us have gone through it. I do remember Miss Chatterjee.
there's one thing we should say, that he likes these Italian women for their deeper glance, beauties of deeper glance.
No,
Into
I
the
think
eyes, Amrita.
he wants everything. He wants the Italian women with the deeper glance and the artless, sweet, artless
English women
daughters.
clinging to him,
I mean,
clinging
that's
to
the
him.
whole. It's like everything works for me.
But that's nice if everything works for him. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
that's the
loving
way the
women from everywhere.
diplomacy has worked for him, whereas
He's quite a lucky guy then.
He's very
Uh,
silent.
Or he doesn't
whitest.
have
No, I
any.
have a problem with the word whitest.
I didn't get that.
The word whitest arms.
Ah, white. They're just very, very white skinned.
Yeah.
No sun.
But there are other words that I would like to know. What is through its tall woods with high romances blent? What does that word blent mean? And high romances?
Blended.
I think he means blend. Yes, blended.
Yeah, it's just a
What,
poetry.
and then what are high romances?
High on a hill
Don't you
lives a
know?
lonely goat herd. Lay, lay, lay.
Yeah.
Those are
And
the
there's
Alps.
another word. There was another word in there that's I didn't get, but I looked it up. It's a nice word, worldling.
Yeah.
And half forget what world or worldling meant. Worldling is a
Isn't it
lovely
an
word for us.
inhabitant?
It
Yeah,
means
it's like a
Inhabitant,
fledgling, right?
inhabitant
It's
of
like,
the world.
no,
it means
it's like,
some.
it's a little world. It's like world and worldling,
No,
fledgling.
it's people.
No, Amrita. It means somebody who's cosmopolitan, somebody who belongs to
of
the whole
world.
world.
Oh, I love that word.
It's a lovely
That's
word.
why the preference for Italian women and the British women. That's how cosmopolitan the word.
Amrita, the
You're
poem was
very
not long.
quiet, Sanjeev.
No,
Amrita,
listening, I have to answer at the end, right?
okay.
I'm just
We're-
kidding.
we're looking
I'm sorry,
mysterious.
I'm a little bit of a naughty mode.
No,
Sorry.
since Amrita is only concentrating on Italian and English women, I just want to say maybe the poem wasn't long enough to include all the others.
It needed to.
So, since it's so late in Delhi, I happen to be in Delhi. It's 11:25 here.
Okay,
Jump in and
Yes, Caps, go ahead.
close.
close it up.
Yes.
So that you can go away and think about the British women and the Italian women.
And the whitest clinging
who wrote
arms.
the book, who wrote this poem. So, essentially, it is a little bit of whatever everyone has said. The fascination of this young poet who was a shy person and very uncomfortable with women, actually, but had a very sad life. He died when he was 25. He died at the Plaza de España in Rome of consumption. And he has taken care of his mother before, who died of consumption, and a younger brother who died of consumption, which is where he got it from. He fell in love with Italy, of course, when he was there. And he was not famous till he had died. Like I said, he died at 25. He was a romantic poet, and everyone will know his name. And he talks about his pastoral living in England. And the reason I chose this poem, just to put a little touch to it, in this time, I have a serious case of wanderlust. I travel all around the world regularly, done over 100 countries. And this pandemic sort of makes you content with where you are. And that's what about this guy is happy is England, and it's a pastoral living. So he longs for other things, the Alps and the Mediterranean and Italian women and all that. but he is content also. He says enough, the concept of enough being key, because, and that's what life is with this pandemic, to make you prioritize and understand what's important and what is not. So I think the most important thing in life is the theory is enough, because it's never enough and it's always enough. And that's a bit about what is captured in this poem. When I was trying to select a poem, because I chose it last night and I sent it last night. I'm actually in India caring for my mom who's been ailing, and I came in from America about 6 weeks back, and I'm scheduled to leave in a week. She is marginally better, fortunately, so I will be content if everything goes well. So the poet is Yeats, sorry, Robert Yeats, and it's one of his lesser well-known poems. I mean, all of us who were in Sanar read Ode to a Nightingale, and this.
Keats.
No,
Keats,
that's
you mean
John.
Keats?
That's John Keats.
Oh,
John
did I-
Keats.
Sorry,
Keats.
I didn't say Yeats. Sorry, I meant Keats.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and Yeats was
Not William
English.
Yeats, not from Ireland. I mean Keats.
Ireland,
sorry.
yeah.
Keats. My
Keats.
apologies. Yeah. I'll pass it off for the 11:30.
Ode to a Nightingale.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
Yes.
Ode to Autumn, beautiful.
So essentially, that's the thing. He did have a fascination with Italy. He did go. He died in Italy, like I said. But England was home, and a sad life, a brilliant poet, and posthumously famous. And I think our times right now call for people like this who died young but left a lot of wisdom behind in very simple terms. And I picked that up in this, a little thing like the woods, walking in the woods, romance, just the breeze, little things, the breeze, the verdant pastures, simple loveliness, a clinging
The
arm.
boards.
So those are the simpler things. And of course, yes, the woods, yes. And he's looking across to what he loves, which is the Alps and Italy and the glamour and stuff. And interestingly and sadly, that's where he actually died.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjeev. And that brings us to 2 hours of poetry. And that's about as much as we can all take. And I'll just thank everybody.
You have
And
to take
it-
a picture, no?
I took out from my phone. I took several now. I've got to figure out how to piece them together. That's going to be another job. Thank
Okay.
God I have a lady daughter who's a photographer.
Yeah, very good for the.
We'll figure out how to do this.
Okay.
I took a picture.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Does anybody have a date for January? I can't remember. It's published somewhere so that we all remember the date. Kumkum, do you have it to hand?
Yeah, it's January 13th.
13th, Wednesday the 13th. Oh, yes, I have it written down too. Good. Yes,
wish you
January
all
the...
Happy New Year.
Happy
And,
New
Happy
Year,
New Year.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
New Year.
Very good. Happy
And wish
holidays.
May
your
you all
mama
get injected soon.
and wish
Right.
your mama totally speedy recovery.
And yeah, we have somebody, I've tried to speak to Vinay, but she's tired and so on. So we're not putting too much pressure on her, but she knows and we know that we're waiting for her to get better and to join us.
I just
but
had a chat with her today and she was doing well. Second day at home.
Oh,
but
well
feeling-
done.
Yes. Feeling weaker because she said, the worry has gone and now she's just tired and exhausted.
Of course, yeah. It can be a long recovery, so we just hope she gets better soon now.
Yes.
And she's got the fighting spirit, so I am
Oh, she
sure
does.
she's going to be right back.
Writing some poetry right now. So.
Sure. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank
and
you.
a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And we'll meet on the 13th of January. 13th
Good
of
night.
January.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.
All the
Thank
best.
you.
Bye,
Bye-bye. Good
everybody.
night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.